Updates on Manchester United's left wing plan. Marcus Rashford out and Jai in. What's the latest on that? JJ Gabriel was seen as the future on the left wing, and also he can play number 9, but I think he would go in as a left winger to begin with if he played at first team level when there are plans for him in the summer. Kobbie Mainoo could be called back up to England. So could Luke Shaw and Harry Maguire. Now, talking of Harry Maguire, he and Lisandro Martinez have been doing very well together at the back and forming some partnership. But talking of Thomas Tuchel, he's not going to Manchester United. And there's a lot of other stories coming out today on the manager front that I've been seeing and hearing in the media that tells me I think Michael Carrick might be getting the job. And I'm going to explain why in today's video, break down these reports, what it means, and more. So, hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to your 10-minute Manchester United news, transfer news, update, roundup show, where I'm going to round up all the latest Manchester United news, manager news, and transfer news into a 10-minute video for you guys. If you do enjoy this kind of content, make sure to subscribe if you're new, because every day there is a 10-minute video. And yeah, let's get into it. Hope you enjoy. And let's start on a positive. We always like to start with something just for the first minute of the video, just to feel on a positive vibe. And there is a lot of positive vibes around United. 4 wins in 5, unbeaten in 9. But I also feel like defensively we have looked better. Like, we only conceded to West Ham because Luke Shaw let it bounce. And it was a jammy goal, although you could say we could have conceded 3 to West Ham because the last 10 minutes of the game, Lenny Yoro was making super challenge. But it was said by Tony Marshall that Lisandro Martinez and Harry Maguire love playing alongside each other. Good stuff. They've been really good together. I read a stat, I think, that they've won 11 out of 14 games together. And if that stat is correct, and now, you know, when you see a stat on X and you just don't have the time to fact check it, but if they have won 11 out of 14 games together, then long may this partnership continue, because that is a title-winning form. Lisandro Martinez, and I said this earlier, I'm not saying he would start for Brian Barcelona, by the way, but I'm saying he's good enough on the ball to start for Brian Barcelona. I think that, you know, some of the Brian Barcelona players were a little bit better off the ball. But what I'm saying is Lisandro Martinez is so good on the ball that Brian Barcelona would want that kind of centre-back. Like, he's phenomenal on the ball. The turn he did in the West Ham game as well was nuts. And then you've got Harry Maguire that's just a monster off the ball, a monster in the box, which is probably Lisandro's biggest weakness, although I think Lisandro's anticipation is good. And I feel like they partner each other really well, and I'm really excited to see what happens even when De Ligt comes back as well. But let's get into the news, let's get into the stories, and let's talk about why this links to Michael Carrick. So yesterday, Tuchel signed a new deal at England beyond the World Cup. So that was a blow. That was Tuchel out. But I said, look, there's Enrique and there's Ancelotti. That's who I want us to get. Carlo Ancelotti, linked with Man United, is set to sign a new 4-year contract with the Brazilian Football Confederation, keeping him as head coach of the nation through to 2030. That is a blow. Now, don't get me wrong. If Michael Carrick continues the way he's going, I will be very happy if Michael Carrick gets the job. But I just don't know how Michael Carrick's going to continue going. I'm feeling it's going to be positive, and I'm feeling he's going to do a good job. But I think if you have the options of Ancelotti and Tuchel and Carrick, you're in a much better position, rather than if you have the options of Carrick and, I don't know, De Zerbi, you're like, oh, well, I'd rather give it to Carrick right now than De Zerbi. But we don't know how we're going to feel about Carrick in a month's time, in 2 months' time. We don't know where we're going to finish. And I just think the best candidates seem to be going. Tuchel's gone, Ancelotti's now set to be gone. And that's 2 of the best options out there for United, and probably our first 2 options when it comes to the biggest names. I think Enrique would be the 3rd option, but Enrique would not want to work if he doesn't get power, and Ineos don't want to give the next manager power. They want a yes man. And as we know with Tuchel, it was said this by Romano. There was absolutely a genuine interest in Tuchel. He's really appreciated by the people at Ineos and Man United's management. His focus was always his full focus was always on the World Cup. Tuchel was never going to agree anything with Man United now before the World Cup. I mean, he could technically agree something with us right after the World Cup and get out of his contract potentially, but it's possible. But I don't see it happening. It's a difficult thing to do. Now, obviously, the main options are Ancelotti, Tuchel, De Zerbi, because Ineos wants Prem proven. Ineos wants someone that's done it in the Prem, that knows the Prem. But apparently De Zerbi is leaning towards Tottenham rather than Man United. He views Spurs as the ideal next step. He gets a bit more control at Spurs. Maybe he feels that's a safer next step rather than going right to Manchester United. Maybe, and to an extent I can understand that. I think De Zerbi is a good manager, but I think with De Zerbi, he will blow up. I think De Zerbi, the dressing room will blow up, him and the board will blow up, and I feel like it would end in an explosion. However, I think there's a manager that Tottenham want more than deserving. I think that's Poch. But I think Poch has also been linked to us. But I think Poch could return to Tottenham. Ben Jacobs went on the Man United Stand YouTube channel yesterday and said, Poch has been linked to United and will return to Tottenham as well. He obviously speaks about how much he likes Tottenham. He said he's not sure at the moment how much is developing with the likes of Glasner. Hopefully nothing. But he and Marco Silva and Iriola are, of course, potentially available at limited cost during the summer. Out of Marco Silva, Iriola and Glasner, Marco Silva is the only one I slightly like. But I wouldn't take any of these guys over Carrick. Ancelotti or Carrick, we're having a debate. Do we go with Ancelotti? Do we go with Carrick? These guys or Carrick? For me, it's Carrick. So why does hearing all these stories make me certain I think Carrick is getting the job? Unless things fall off the wheel. So if things go well with Carrick, I'm certain he's getting the job. Because if they can't get Tuchel, they can't get Ancelotti, and they can't get De Zerbi, I am certain that if Carrick gets Champions League football, he gets the job. And I think hearing these stories that Tuchel's off, Ancelotti's off, De Zerbi prefers Tottenham, makes me pretty confident I think Carrick is going to get the job. Unless Carrick does very bad, and then I think it goes to a Marco Silva or a McKenna. Maybe a Nagelsmann, but I don't see that happening. I feel like Nagelsmann is a bit of a Ten-Hag, Amarin, done well in leagues abroad, but actually, is he ready for Man United? You got Enrique, which is going to be really hard, who I'd love. For me, it's we do something crazy and Ineos seed power and they manage to convince Enrique to come, or Carrick stays. Or if Carrick does really bad and we can't get Enrique, maybe it's Marco Silva. I think it's one of those three solutions. But you've got to remember, City and Liverpool are likely to be looking for a manager in the summer. We don't know that yet, but I think Slot will go. There's rumours Pep will go. There's competition. And I think Carrick hearing this news probably gives him a bit of confidence. Carrick hearing that Ancelotti's signing a new deal, Tuchel signing a new deal, De Zerbi first Tottenham. Well, that's the first three candidates. Boom, 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 ruled out already. Enrique is very unlikely. You do something crazy, you get Enrique, or it's probably Carrick. Now, could Carrick bring back Marcus Rashford? That's been something discussed. I think Rashford's head's in Barca. I don't think Man United want to bring him back, and I think Man United would rather sell Rashford and bring in a left winger. And I know he's played on the right this season for Everton, but that will be Iliman Ndiaye. Iliman Ndiaye is the candidate to replace Rashford, but they will not let him leave for anything less than 70 million. I like Iliman Ndiaye. He's one of my first picks. I think he's dropped off a little bit lately. I want to see how he does between now and the end of the season. I know he's playing on the right. But I want to just see how he does between now and the end of the season before making any decisions. I'd still love Man United to just go all out for someone like Kvaratskhelia. Sport, which is a Spanish source, did say that FC Barcelona are aware that if they want to keep Marcus Rashford, they must pay Manchester United £26 million and not a penny less. Man United are unwilling to lower the asking price, which is fair, because I think with the way Rashford's played, we could get 40 million, but we're asking for 30 million, well, 30 million euros, £26 million. And then last but not least, I want to talk about, there's two more stories. Second to last, I want to talk about Kobbie Mainoo. But last, I want to talk about JJ Gabriel, because that's interesting. Tuchel said on Mainoo, it's been fantastic to see him back on the pitch. He's an extremely talented player. He's already played in a tournament with England, so he's back in the running for a spot in the England team. I think with Adam Wharton not playing great lately, I think Rice, Anderson, Bellingham is the midfield three. But I think someone like Kobbie Mainoo has to be in contention. He's already got Euros experience. He was fantastic in the Euros. He played for England. He was our best player versus West Ham, which Thomas Tuchel was in the stands watching. He's been phenomenal lately. I'd be very shocked. If he takes Jordan Henderson over Kobbie Mainoo, he's a disgrace. I don't care about Jordan Henderson having experience. If you want experience, take Maguire. If you want experience, take Maguire, because Maguire is experienced, but he's a lot better than Jordan Henderson. So I would say take Maguire for experience, take Kobbie for the midfield, drop Jordan Effin Henderson. Do not be picking Conor Gallagher either as well. I think Kobbie Mainoo deserves a spot, and hopefully he gets called up. And then last but not least, JJ Gabriel. Ty Marshall of the Manchester Evening News said, with plenty of first-team players likely to be at the World Cup, there's a good chance we see JJ Gabriel in pre-season with Man United. I think JJ Gabriel can officially make his debut next season. He can't play for us this season because he's too young. He doesn't turn 16 till next season. But I think JJ Gabriel will have opportunities in pre-season. Shea Lacey will have opportunities in pre-season. Maybe we see Diego Leon and Sekou Kone and Enzo Canabia and some of the youngsters that we signed as well. But yeah, I mean, JJ, talking to Sekou Kone, he's really impressed with Lausanne Sports so far. But talking to JJ Gabriel, he can play on the left. We're going to be quite thin there because we don't really have any natural left wingers. Not saying that I expect him to come through next season and be ready and be Lamine Yamal, but he's such a exciting and talented player that I think he could get opportunities next season, especially if he impresses in preseason. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. Bye.